So I've got a conundrum. The grass has grown really well this week. And to date, from a year ago, we've grown more than, well, almost double the grass that we were growing at this time last year. And I can't look back. I haven't found whether, did I add a field? Did I take a field away? Was I just not measuring everything that I've been measuring this year? I'm pretty sure I was, though. In fact, if anything, I think I was measuring, less this year because I've skipped a couple of fields. Like just the little field there across the driveway and the marsh at Farnsworth because it's just too wet. Now the grass is growing. The grass is growing really well this week. Those 2 super hot days and just the milder weather and the lack of rain and the sunshine and warmth have kicked this stuff off to the point that some of it's heading out. And as soon as it starts heading out, the stalk starts to lignify and the cows won't eat it. And so the longer this sits ungrazed, the less palatable, the less nutritious it gets. Like by the day. And so while I've started the cows grazing at that end of the field, I'm almost thinking I need to come down here somewhere about 2/3 of the field in and mow and bale a third of it, which I am not set up to do at the moment. I don't have the mower fixed. I don't have an expensive part for the baler bought and delivered. I don't have the baler prepped. I don't have a rake. So ideally, I would do it today or tomorrow, this weekend, and get this off because the sooner this is cut and harvested, the sooner it's regrowing. Because if I had 10 days from there to get to here, that would be this side grown 10 days more. It would be 10 days ahead of the regrowth on that side. So I have, at best guess, 10 days of grazing in the forest. And right now, for another month, unless the weather gets extreme again, we have about a 15 to 20 day turnaround window for grass to regrow. As long as we still get a little moisture, what's grazed today will be ready to regraze in about 20 to 25 days. Right now. Now, the later in the summer, the hotter the weather gets, that starts to stretch out to 45 days, and then I really start to run into trouble. So I also have to worry about finding food for the heifers. Now, I was going to run them through the orchard, which it's okay for it to get a little lignified for the heifers and young stock and the calves. They'll eat it just fine. They'll love it. And they don't need the lush, non-fibrous grass that the dairy cows need. So if I skip running them through the orchard and I start following them behind the cows, they'll clean up what the cows have left behind. But I don't have the resources today to start that, so it'll have to be in a couple of days after I put some stuff together and more fencing and things. But grass starts regrowing 3 days after it's cut. So it's grazed today. On the 4th day, it's regrowing. You do not want to cut that again until it's got its 3 leaves and starts to kick into boot stage, it's called, because every time it's cut, it restarts that 3-day window. So the short nibbly grazes that can happen before the grass is very tall again just keep pushing us back out of that super fast regrowth window into the dead of summer, into the height where things really crawl to a slow pace. So it would be a gamble to cut and bale this. At worst case, I would then have to feed it out sooner than later, which would still be better than having the cows reject 90% of, or, a significant portion of it. if I were to cut and bale it to this week, the cows might only reject 10%. If I let it grow until they get here to graze it, they might start rejecting 30 or 40% of it. But then I could follow the heifers, and then we're going to think about drying a couple cows off early. They're really late in lactation. They should have already been, bred to calve by now, but for one thing or other, they didn't get bred till late. So they're long in milk. They're known as stale cows. And they're just not producing a lot of milk. We have this spring with double the amount of grass, with all things being equal and better health for the cows. We're producing more milk right now out of 9 cows than we were doing last year out of 7. And we still have 3 to add back to the tank, because we're still feeding Joy's milk to the group of calves. Now I've weaned 4 of them, and we're feeding Bramble's milk is going to Jet, because Jet's brand new. So Bramble will go in the tank soon. Joy will go in the tank soon. They're both high producers. We're actually at the limit of what in a 2-day period we can have in the vat and process. Allison already makes cheese 3 days a week. And right now, unless things rapidly change, that's going pretty good, but it's also outpacing the amount of time she has. So more milk, yes, we can get up to speed selling fluid milk and doing some other things like that, but to handle the excess. But drying off Trixie, Luna, and Dory, who are only collectively about producing 30 pounds a day right now. About 60 pounds a day. Together, those 3 cows, 60 pounds a day. To give you a clue, Lana produces 54, Lottie produces 54, 56. Libby's producing around 70 pounds a day. Joy, when we do start saving her milk, she's producing about 48 pounds. So that milk will be replaced pretty quickly. And it's we'll only be drying a couple of them off 3 weeks early. And then there's an 8-week rest period anyway built in. So, 12 weeks early. So we would again have another flush of milk come August and September. So that's kind of where we're leaning right now. Maybe dry some cows off, maybe run those cows with the heifers and follow up, because they don't need as high nutrition from the lush grass. They can eat the remaining grass and clean it up and follow, and that might work. And fingers crossed, we get a normal-ish any kind of rain this summer. Now, we haven't had rain. We had a lot of rain last week, and we haven't had any rain this week. And that's kind of how it went last year too. The rain just sort of shut off. I know we are expecting some rain, so right now there's still plenty of groundwater, even though we're in a drought technically, because I think we still need 10 inches of rain to get out of a drought before we start this next drought. So we're kind of in a good point here. We're growing a lot of grass. We're growing 3 times more grass than the cows can eat. But that's across everything. That's including the silage fields. But still, I can say it's probably 3 times more grass than the cows can eat here. But it's just the trouble is, once they've eaten it off, will it regrow enough for them to start grazing again? Because the worst thing I can do is that grass that they grazed off last night and today needs about 20 days to regrow. If I put them in at day 15, it's not going to have the volume. It's just going to cut things shorter and shorter for the rest of the summer. And that's what happened last year to us, really, because with the drought, grass wasn't growing. I was getting desperate. I hadn't quite, man, this gate's hard to open sometimes. I hadn't quite figured on any kind of split grazing or buffer feeding. We didn't get the drought. The drought was really going in June, but we didn't really get the slab at the feed rail poured and ready until the end of June, so it was sort of July when I started using it, and then it worked great. But that's, yeah, I hadn't quite worked out what the strategies, and I kind of know them now this summer if it works that way. We'll see. Up here in the morning, Saturday morning, the whatever of May, I'm just up here. Gosh, that line seems low. Moving the front line for the cows. Allison's starting milking, and I've formulated a plan. I did my grass walk yesterday. I've looked at the results. I've seen how the cows are eating off the land that I'm feeding them right now, and how they did down below, and how fast the grass has grown. Almost twice what was on the ground last year at this time. So I'm gonna move the cows over this field fast, giving them what I would normally give them, maybe a little more. Let them skim off the cream, as it were. Eat the best luscious grass. Then tomorrow we're gonna move some. Today we're drying off Trixie, Luna, and Dory. It's only 3 weeks early for Dory and Luna, but because they're also so late in lactation, they could use the extra rest. They're not making a lot of milk. We're only going to lose about 10 gallons a day. Not a tremendous loss, because we still have Joy and Bramble to add to the tank. So, and they're tremendous producers. They're out producing. Each one of those cows is out producing all 3 cows put together. So, but right now their milk is going to the babies and such, and Bramble's not out of. We withhold the milk from fresh cows for a couple weeks while they feed their calves, and then we test it, and then we make a decision to enter it into the tank and make cheese from it. So you can clearly see the division line between yesterday's grazing and what I'm giving them this morning. So we're going to dry off those 3 cows. We're going to add them. Hopefully this goes well. I've never done this before. I know a lot of farms do it. I've just never had a herd big enough to do it, and it never made sense. I have kind of done it with sheep. Following the cows, you graze the dairy cows, and then you come back and move sheep behind them. I always found that to be a major pain in the ass. So hopefully it'll go easier with the heifers and the dry cows, and we're going to put them probably tomorrow. If I can find enough fence posts, and if I can free up another reel, because I'll need 3 reels. I'll need the front line. I'll need what is going to tonight be the cow's back line, and that will become the front line for the heifer dry cow segment. And then I need 1 more reel, so because once I move, they'll get the outside fence up to the back line of the cows. And then once that back line gets moved to be the front line of the heifers, they'll need a back line to keep them from going back and regrazing. So, and the idea is just to follow them. It's called a leader-follower system. Cows will lead, and then about a couple days later, we'll run the heifers. It'll be similar size group, really, because there's 6 heifers and 3 cows, that's 9. And if we take 3 out of the 11, that's 8. And the 9 have much lower nutrition requirements than the fresh cows and the lactating cows who are in calf. So we want to prioritize breeding the next generation and having healthy, good milk production and healthy cows from the lactating animals, and making sure that the dry cows and the heifers don't lose condition, and build some condition before they calve. Now, it'll be 12 weeks, and then we'll start having a couple more calves, and then there probably isn't going to be a dry off period by then, but by then we may need the more milk. So it's just now we are being too efficient. We are producing more milk than we ever had, with more grass than we ever had. And so you know, that extra milk has to go somewhere. We're not set up to sell fresh milk just yet, but that may have to be a strategy over the summer. Rather than, I mean, because the milk is being produced and we're not really pushing the cows. That is just them on grass with their bit of grain. In fact, I'm even cutting back on the grain so that we're not pushing them, but we have to monitor, make sure they stay healthy and keep their body condition. So that's currently, as of this moment, the plan. Could change, don't know. We'll figure it out and we'll learn something new along the way, something that I've never done. And I'm sure it will have headaches and frustrations up the wazoo. But so today, one of my goals is to try and free up a couple more reels and find some more fence posts. I know we got fence posts tucked in here and there around the place that might not need to be used. And I can get that going and hopefully start planning and putting up permanent fencing in the month of June around haying. Down the lower fields trying to round up equipment. Got a grazing reel that's not the greatest. It's pretty beat up. This will work fine for a back reel. Something that doesn't have to be wound in and out a lot. And I've grounded up half dozen posts, something like that. I got one other spot I can look and see if we can make this leader follower idea reality. I think I've got it coming closer to how I can work it in my head. But that's in the big field. Then if I don't get, this could be a real challenge, because if I don't get any, oh, I've got another reel there, okay. If I don't get any of the permanent fencing up, like around the pond here, if I don't get any of that up, and I think I may have a window to do some, certainly to fill in some gaps around here. I don't get that done before the cows have to come out of the big field, and then a couple days later the heifers. See, because in order to leave the heifers there and the dry cows, that means I'm using up 2 reels and 2 sets of fencing to go across the big field. That only leaves me 1 reel and 1 set of posts, which isn't enough to do much down here. Now the outer narrow field against the forest, I can get away with, because the fencing, there's already fence and posts there. It needs to be permanent, but for the moment, at least with the cows, I can get away with the single hot wire. I just need to get it out of the tree line, get it hooked up, and make sure all the posts are correct. That will give me that. And then the inside lane on both these sets of fields, against the farm track, they're permanent fencing, single line permanent fencing. But at least it's up. And I think for the heifers and the dry cows will be okay coming down into that by the time they've hit the point at the big field. I wouldn't want to turn them into that today. This area that I'm still working on with the excavator and stuff, which I have not been back to, may just be for heifers. I might not even try and put dry cows in there. It's awful. I mean, I haven't gotten back in there. The ruts that I made in the spring when it was so wet are still there. I still got a lot of limbs and trees to pull out of there. It's just not been, you know, that's the work I need to do in the winter, not in the spring when things are starting to grow. Now, if I can get the heifers through there and graze it off, then I might go back in. I might have time then to go back in and get the excavator through. I need to knock down that big Widowmaker as well. Well, I also kind of need to get the excavator out of there because I've got so much other stuff for it to do. So it's a toss-up. This week is kind of, I don't know. This week is kind of that make or break week. Do I cut this field? I should be getting my equipment ready this week. I need to do that. And work on fencing if I can at all this week. Got livestock moving and jiggering around because I still got to find a place. Now that we put Bramble out with the herd today, we'll probably keep her in tonight with Jet. We'll just see how much milk she makes and what it looks like. She's not, or how frantic she is for Jet when she gets back tonight with the herd. Jet seems chill in her pen right now, but I do need to move. If we're going to keep Bramble out from now on, if she's really just like, I don't care, she's not going to be fussy about being with Jet or not, which is normal for dairy cows because of the routine, and some cows really get attached to their calves. Other of our cows could care less, or other cows could take other calves and not care. It doesn't have to be their calf. But we'll see what the situation is tonight. But if we're going to put Bramble out full time and just put her back in with the herd, then we have to get Jet integrated into the calf yard and container up above. Because in August. In August, we've got calves coming. So that's a while. So, I mean, she could live there, but she'd be by herself. It should be much easier and probably like it much more in a few days when she can go up to the container. She could go in with the youngest calves, Nutmeg and Mace, who were born last month. The other ones are really old. That I should also, in all of this, I need to be working on getting the older calves out on grass. Just out here setting up evening lines while the cows are in for milking. I'm going to move the front line forward, give them tonight's grazing. I've set up a back line, which will then become the front line of the heifers and dry cows when they come in here. And then I have a reel there that will be a back line. So I need to have 10 or 11 posts free to run the back line. So I've got 1 there, 2 there. But I remembered what works best. And I think once the heifers are in this field, I can strip back the blue posts from anywhere I propped up the lines, and I can swap them for the lines, the posts that used to hold the pig fence up that aren't as nice as the blue posts, but they'll work just fine for the heifer fence. Because I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of those posts, 8, 9, 10. All right, so I've got enough blue posts, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I've got some pigtails left. So I can run the back line once I move the heifers. But what works really best, I remembered this just now, what works really great is having yet a 4th line, so a 4th reel, and rather than trying to scoot the front fence for the heifers forward, because they're always going to be in the field, they're always going to be in my way. Rather than do that, run a second fence, or a second front fence, move them in, the front fence becomes the back fence, then you hopscotch the true back fence to be the front fence, and you're constantly rerunning lines, but skipping them forward, and it seems like more work, but it's faster, and there's less challenge and less hassle with the heifers. I recall that from last year, so that is going to, I think I can make it happen this year. I think I've got, without having to get anything, so I don't have to wait for stuff to arrive, so I can just get going. Probably tomorrow, we'll see. I mean, the heifers are going to be out of the bale tomorrow. I can let them in. I want them out here during the day, so I can just maybe move them quickly through the little patch of grass there and out into here. And it's just a question of when to do that. Probably first, when the cows are in for milking, first thing. Get them back in here, and then try to separate the 3 heifers. The three new dry cows. If I can get them and get the 9, then the 9 of them will be grazing at the back. And I'll just have to skip them ahead. I think that can work. I think that may be the best utilization of grass on this farm that I've come up with. All right, I just saw Allison head down to the parlor. She's about to start milking. I'm going to clean up this pile of posts I've dropped in the field and move this front fence, and then I'll go help her. Still filling buckets. Sunday, May 24th, I'm cutting through the sawmill yard to go round up the straggler cows that haven't come in for milking yet. And cold, damp, gray day. I gotta do something with this slab wood pile one of these days or get it burned up. I'm thinking of letting the heifers out into this grassy area with the idea of getting them out into the field to mix with the dry cows. However, we're expecting an inch of rain in the next 36 hours. So it isn't going to be today. I'm going to turn the cows out. Come on, cows, milking, let's go. Lana, Luna, let's go. I'd be tempted to leave Trixie, Dory, and Luna out here, but again, with an inch of rain coming overnight, they could really damage the field. And they may want to just be in the parlor anyway, in the barn. I don't really care if I turn the heifers into this area just adjacent. That'll give them some grass. It means I don't have to get them a bale. They've still got a little bit of a bale. They'll still have access here. And that will that'll get them started on this summer's grass journey for them and make my life a little bit easier, maybe. Fence have to be moved. But yeah, so that means I got to get the barn cleaned out today, get it rebedded so they can spend the night in it, and probably most of tomorrow. And I'm gonna have to bring the cows a new bale of silage because, yeah, an inch of rain out here all at once, it will be, with cows on the ground, will be a disaster. Come on, Lana, head on in. I just gotta go collect Luna, who's always a straggler at the top of the field because she thinks she's a little kid, a calf. Now, they grazed off this area last night. They didn't do as good a job on it as I thought they would. So definitely, this would be a candidate for topping in a normal year if it weren't so wet out. And I mean, if we get that inch of rain, there's no way I'm getting in the fields with equipment. It was just starting to dry out. I was thinking about spreading lime this week, but not with an inch. Come on, Luna. Come on, darling, let's go. Luna. I don't love. Come on. Get up. Head into the barn. You never know if they're just being lazy or stubborn or there's something wrong with them. This one would love nothing more than to be left out here on her own. And again, I would be tempted to put her in the back there. Come on, let's go. But not with all that rain. Now, I don't know what I'm going to do with this leader-follower system. If I've got the cows, they can go into the barn. But if I mix the dry cows and the heifers, come on, Luna, let's go. We got to get milking. If I leave the heifers and dry cows in the field, there's nowhere for them to go. Unless they're down in the forest, they can shelter under trees. But yeah, it's I prefer it when we get, I don't mind getting an inch of rain, right? Over a week. That'd be beautiful. Keep it up. Give us, 3 small rain events over the course of a week to give us an inch of rain, not all at once. The majority of it's going to fall late tonight into tomorrow morning, and then it's supposed to clear off, but it's still going to be rainy. But with that inch of rain falling overnight, or, you know, half tonight, half tomorrow, just means that probably tomorrow, even if it isn't raining hard, it won't be, oh good, most of the cows have gone in. It won't be right for grazing tomorrow because it'll be too wet. We'll see, but I think planning to keep them in tomorrow as well is appropriate. All right, let me get these cows down to the barn, then I gotta get back out here, reset the lines, feed the heifers, get them moved, and then Allison will be milking by then. Just up here at the top of the big field, moving this front line for the cows to come back out after milking. Normally I don't move the back line until evening, and that's more important today than ever, that I learned last year, is if we do get a sudden flash heavy downpour, I want the cows to be as spread out as possible, not all bunched up in a narrow lane where they just wipe out the field. So I've given them a bit more space based on the forecast. Whether we get that or not, I don't know. We've had rain when it isn't predicted. We've had sunshine when we're supposed to be having a downpour. So I don't know what's going to happen. Anybody's guess, but prepare. One drawback to spreading manure and not keeping the manure on a slab is stones get spread through the field, and I don't have a roller. With the aeration roller that I want to get, these would just be pressed into the ground and go below the surface. But as it is now, all these stones lay on the surface. And everywhere there's a stone, that means there's no grass growth. And if I do ever mow this field, it means I can dull knives on the mower. But yeah, so every year pick through the field and gather up what stones I can each time I walk back and forth, pull them out of the field for now, just so the grass can grow. Amazing what we do to feed our cows. It's crazy. Oh, that's a piece of wood that can rot. All right, just opened up the line into this little grass paddock for the heifers. They're not too keen on crossing, but they'll all come over here soon enough. Once they figure out the hot lines down. Hello, Cass. It's all right, let me get this other line down. And I can reclaim some of these blue posts. They're just gonna go in here for today. If it gets damaged by poaching and rain, it's sort of the lane in between two spots. It's not really going to go anywhere. Nothing's really going to happen. I've got a problem. There's no hook on there that's just tied off. That's not cool because the fence is hot. I guess I can turn it off temporarily. And I got to rewind that up. Hang on. Annoyingly, the on switch, which turns the fence on after you've turned it off with the off switch, is broken on this right now. I'm pretty worn out. This thing's 12 years old, I think. No, more than that, 14 years old. So I had a second one of these, but I don't think it made it to this farm. We're actually considering having to buy a new charger because this one is broken. We're only using it on half charge, which means that given the amount of fencing we have out, the voltage is pretty low. It's okay for cows. We're not running pigs right now, but it would be better if it was hotter. This is the hot lead burnt off, and we're using the half voltage lead. And also, because the remote won't turn it on, I got to come back to the charger and turn it on and off. So it's putting out 8,000 volts, but it's only registering about 3,500 on the lines. But everything's hot right now. Everything's good. Yeah, 3.6. I think it was 3.7 over here. That will stop 3.3. That'll stop heifers. And they shouldn't want to go anywhere. They got this little area to graze. They can go back and they'll be able to go back to their water troughs and get water for the evening. Now what I want to do, my next move, they're here. This will allow them to go through that gate into the field Tuesday, unless tomorrow isn't. I mean, it's already not as bad as it seemed today, although there's a damp, cold breeze, which is why I'm wearing a beanie. It's 10 degrees cooler today than it was yesterday, pretty much. And it's been kind of consistently cooler. And I don't know when, I haven't looked to see, I've been paying attention to temperatures when we climb back out of this cool period. It's okay, it's growing grass, it's slowing down the rampant grass growth and the heading out of flowering. So if it can delay boot stage a little while longer, or keep boot stage a little while longer and delay the reproductive stage of the grass, I'm all for that, because that buys me a little more grazing time. And then, certainly if we're getting an inch of rain tonight and then some warm weather, that'll regrow the grass that they've already grazed and grow the silage field. So hopefully that's going to be what the pattern is. But I do need to figure out the heifer and dry cow water situation for tomorrow or Tuesday. A lot of pressure's on this week. I've got to do some cleaning in the barn. We've got a creamery inspection. It's Memorial Day weekend, and I had promised Allison that I would get the washroom in the barn set up, and it's just not there. It all ties back to my delay on the boiler system, because I need to get hot water to that washroom, and I need to get the boiler running in order to have that hot water. So that has not happened yet. So I got fencing I need to do too. All right, they got water for the afternoon. I'm gonna see if I can find a Y, splitter Y, and some decent hose. That's the question, hose. And then I'll work on getting them water.